What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Miguel Malenciano and this is Evolution Angler Bassin. But how's that bite? Today we have another what's in the box for you. Hold on 1 second. See what I did there? I gotta bust out the old Yankees hat because we definitely have a home run heavy hitter on deck today. So today's what's in the box is gonna be a little short but very sweet and to the point. And to lead it off, you know what? We're gonna jump right into the action. We're gonna bust out that Spro Russ Lane Fat Papa Walker 130. That's what it looks like in the box. This is what it looks like out of the box. I'm gonna do top water too, a little more out in the open. Oh my God, son! Oh my God! Oh my God, son! There we go! That was... Yo, this lure is crazy! I'm definitely starting you guys off with dessert first. Well, actually, this is gonna be the main course and dessert. That's how big of a heavy hitter this is. So, what you're gonna have here is a 130 size walking lure from Spro. And when I tell you that this thing catches big fish and hits home runs, whew, it's like Reggie Jackson hitting a moonshot. It's like Aaron Judge shutting the game down bottom of the ninth. That's exactly what we're dealing with here. Look at that. It's got a little rattle to it too. But hey, enough of that. Let's get into the specs. I got this in the deal color. As you can see, it's mostly pearl here. And it's gonna have like your greenish, grayish, slatish kind of back right there. Does have little red accents here by the gills, the eyes, the mouth. And yeah, you see that there. That sort of spits water, that sort of chugs water. It does its own little thing. It's multifaceted lure. But the main dance that this thing does, woo! Again, it's a big fish catcher. But what makes it a big fish catcher? We're talking... This thing is gonna have a huge, you see that dip, that nice big giant, they call it a distended belly. What that does is, it allows it to have this real, wide, walking action. And I'm telling you, it's super duper wide, and all you gotta do is just give it a little flick of the wrist. Nothing crazy, nothing out of this world. If you really wanted to spit and chug, then yeah, you could accent that little flick of the wrist a little bit more. But for the most part, all you gotta do again is a little flick here and there, and you're off to the races, just swerving. This is a good lure, man. Super swerving. So it is gonna have that dual rattle chamber inside, but what's crazy about it is, let me see if I can just hold these hooks. Hear that? It's a little bit of a different sound, or actually, it's a lot of bit of a different sound. And I mean, I really think that that is the difference maker in this lure here, besides the visuals. Just the sound, that like clacking. It's really hard to explain. It's really like a clacking sound. Once you fish it, which trust me, you have to fish this lure. You'll see what I mean. It's really Oh, what do I call it? It's sort of hypnotizing, I'm not gonna lie. I hear this noise in my sleep. I hear this noise when I'm taking a shower. I started fishing it and I hear this noise everywhere. So imagine what it does to the fish, and that's just to the fisherman. Again, it does have that small, distinct cup mouth. So you are going to be able to chug and spit. Chug and spit. If you want to work this lure secondarily like a popper, you could do that. You could definitely do that. And it is going to catch fish. And I have caught fish doing that already. But again, the main dance is where it's at. Then the hooks. Look at that. Look at that. This comes equipped with 3 round bend Gamakatsu hooks. And the one at the very end is actually going to be a feathered hook. And they do that because not every fish is going to be super aggressive. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to call in a lot of fish, but in terms of actually getting all those fish to bite, what percentage? 10, 15, 20% of those fish, maybe more, might be finicky. So the secondary action on the feather, it's meant to get those finicky fish one last chance at getting them to bite. Definitely a nice little accent there. Just, you know, just adds so much to the overall presentation, to the overall features that this lure is jam-packed with. You know, when I tell you that this lure catches a better class of fish, I am not lying to you. From the very jump, the first fish, boom, above average. And then what's funny is I kept adding like half a pound, quarter pound, half a pound every time I caught another fish. You know, the first time it caught me off guard, I was spooked. I was more spooked than a finicky fish in crystal clear water on a Saturday with boats everywhere on the lake. That's how much I got spooked by this. Or rather by the blow up it caused, but not no more. Now I know this thing is packing heat. This is a straight grenade. Alright, so what equipment to use this walking lure on? Straight up, if you have a cranking setup, that's exactly what you're going to want to use to fish the Fat Papa Walker. Medium or medium heavy. If you have full glass, cool. If you have a blend of glass and graphite, cool. But it needs to be moderate action. Self-explanatory here, you know. That parabolic bend in the rod is definitely what's going to give you the action on this lure. That side to side, it's cutting and darting. And then, you know, look at what you're dealing with here. You've got 3 amazingly sharp. I cannot believe how sticky these hooks are. And I'm like 5 or 6 fish, big fish deep with this. No bends, nothing. But again, you know, you've got 3 treble hooks here. With that being said, parabolic bend. So you're not going to want to give these fish any reason to come off. Absolutely, at all costs, stay away from anything fast or extra fast. Because what they're going to do is they're going to come up to the top. They're going to jump on you. We're talking about above average size fish here. What's going to happen is they're going to spit this lure on you. Maybe not all the time. You might be able to get away with it once, twice, maybe 3 times. But trust me, somewhere down the road, you are going to pay for the mistake of using a fast or an extra fast action rod. So 100% all the way, moderate action. If you have a cranking setup, just go with your cranking setup, man. My suggestion on this, because you're playing the parabolic rubber band game, and because it's top water, unless you already have it on your reel, you could leave braid completely out of this equation. Just go straight mono. And I'm going to specifically suggest to you anywhere between 12 and 15 pound mono. I would tend to stay on the heavier side unless you're fishing crystal clear water, because this lure, this is a little bit of a heavy lure. So it's 7/8 of an ounce. Boy, I would, even though it's a top water lure, I would hate to have a bad backlash on this and just have it snap off. Maybe tossed in an area where you can't take the boat and go get it. Even in a kayak sometimes it's difficult to get back in certain areas. So just keep that in mind. It's not that big of a deal because again, it's a top water lure. If you break it off, it's just gonna float. But where it scares me is if, again, fish latches on and oh my God. Let me put this lure down. If a fish latches on, takes you into the pads, winds you up while you're using lighter line, you know, you can lose this lure and that would not be copacetic at all. So gauge the clarity of the waters you're going to fish this in, but I would tend to lean more towards that 15-ish in terms of mono. And for this, you should be fine with a 7-speed reel. Anywhere in the ball. If you got a 6, use the 6. If you got the 8, use the 8. We're talking walking, blow up. And then it's not a matter of horsing them to the boat. It's more a matter of keeping them pinned. You're going to want to do that rather quickly, but you're also going to want to take your time. Not exactly pedestrian with it. Where to fish this? So I would specifically fish this in low light conditions, whether it be early in the morning or late in the evening. Or if you can play that shadow game, most definitely go ahead and play the shadow game. Try to do it a little shallower. Try to do it by cover. That's where these fish are going to stick to, primarily bright, sunny, hot days. If you can do it around pad edges and you have a combination of shadows to do that with, you're golden. Just do that. If it's raining, that changes everything. Even if it's not raining, if it's just cloudy, anywhere at any time it could go down. Be on the edge of your seat. Be paying attention. It could literally happen anywhere. These fish are roaming around. You never know where a big one's just waiting, laying in ambush. And this is the lure that will connect you with a big one. Yeah, that is the Spro Russ Lane Fat Papa Walker. Tremendous lure. 5 out of 5. So moving on. You know I'm a finesse guy. Can't do a what's in the box without finesse presentation. We're gonna have the 5-inch Gary Yamamoto Pro Senkos. What's different about these is, so I actually got this in the green pumpkin, black pepper, very classic, very traditional. You can notice right off of the bat, smaller, scaled down profile. So it's still your same Senko body, just very much smaller. This is meant to fish in pressured bodies of water, on weekends, worst conditions. Bright, hot, sunny days. When the bite is completely shut down, there's very few lures that will get them into the boat. This is one of them. Obviously, a couple ways you can fish this, primarily Texas, wacky rig. I've delved into also fishing it as a shaky head. It was redesigned, so it does have a little bit of a thicker head here, as to where the tail's a little bit thinned out. When you want to be subtle, not too aggressive with your shaky head, you know, this will do the trick for you. I like, you know, if I'm just trying to get a bite going and I'm trying to really turn it on, then what I'm doing is wacky, and I'm doing it around shallow cover, and I'm doing it early and often. You know, this is going to be your traditional Yamamoto style plastic, very soft, impregnated with salt. You know, just very super realistic, crystal clear waters, go to. Tournament starter, go to. Just fun fishing, need to put fish in the boat, go to. This is a deal. This is a fish catching deal number. I'm not saying that it won't catch big fish, but in keeping your expectations realistic, you're gonna go through a ton of small fish because this is exactly what you're asking for, to put fish in the boat. But this will also get big fish in the boat for you as well. What I also like about this, you know, not that it's any worse or any better than the original Senko, but specifically for this profile, if you accompany it with a very lightweight, we're talking 1/16s or in the ballpark of, while you're tossing this Texas rig, the castability on it, especially if you combine it with light line or the line type of line that you're supposed to, 4, 6, 8 pound test line, you can cast this a mile. And in fishing pressured bodies of water, in fishing finesse, this is a key deal, because distance that you have when casting, sometimes that's the make or break situation in getting a fish to bite. You don't want to be right on top of a deal that you're flipping into or pitching into. If you can stay back, especially in crystal clear waters, again, do that. This is a good lure to do that with. Company weight, you know, just bomb it out there. Sit back, work it slowly. You're going to get bit. What gear to use this on? So I'm going to use this on a medium light or straight up medium fast action spinning rod. You also can use a medium bait casting rod, but if you use the medium bait casting rod, really fine tune your settings on your bait caster, because the lure, it is a little light. Let's keep it real here. You're going to want to prevent backlashes as much as possible, so if you decide not to use a spinning rod, which is the first choice, then again, just play around with the settings on your bait caster. The line to use for this, again, light lure. We're talking pressured situations here, so you want to keep that line light. The lightest I'd go for this is 4. The heaviest I'd go is 8, unless you're really fishing clear water that's very weedy at the same time. Really close quarters combat, you don't have much casting room anyway, and you might get taken into vegetation, then use 10. But also know that you're decreasing your bites by doing that. That's as your leader. I always like to fish braid to some kind of leader. So accompany this anywhere like 18, 20 pound braid should be fine. Especially if you're using a short leader, you know, your chances of getting broken off in thicker vegetation or whatever decrease. Yeah, that's the type of line I would use for this. And again, you're going to want to work this very slow. We're talking about finesse presentation here. So in terms of reel speed, if you're using a spinning rod, anywhere from 500 to like a 1500 size reel. And if you're using a bait caster, stick to a 5, stick to a 6. You don't want to work this lure extremely fast. And when worming, if you're using a fast reel, sometimes you forget. And before you know it, you're really zooming through there. Like if you got a cutter worm or a ribbon worm tied on 5 or 6 speed reel. All right, so where to fish this? I would fish this around shallow. And I mean dirt shallow. This is cool. That's fine. Prime pieces of cover or shaded pieces of cover, you know, laydowns, pads, big old boulders just sticking out of the water. Anywhere in that vicinity, up to that first break line. That first sharp major break line. And I say that because, you know, like a ledgy situation would be cool because, you know, that's where the fish are really looking. Really any deeper with smaller lure like this, unless you're fishing on a shaky head, can get lost in the mix. To me, these kind of presentations shine more shallow. So that's where I'm going to direct you. Just keep it more shallow up until that first break line. If you have shallow points, of course, fish a shallow point. And I definitely don't mean do not fish this offshore. You can fish it offshore, but the key is fish it shallow offshore, not deep offshore. So yeah, that's the Pro Senko 5-inch, Gary Yamamoto. Cool. And then, last but not least, it's actually going to be a little bit of a toss-up here. So me, lure making, do-it molds, right? We got trusty, handy-dandy, do-it molds, 7-inch ribbon worm. That's a mold. So you're going to have 2 cavities. This is going to total 7 inches. And, you know, this is exactly as advertised. Classic 7-inch ribbon worm, which you could even go ahead and cut and make it into a cutter worm and play around, make it a sickle worm. You know, you have a couple different options with that. That, again, you know, is, for me, it's a shallow water deal, finesse deal. So I would fish that on medium spinning rod or medium bait casting rod. One of the two. 90% of the time, I'm just going to fish that straight up Texas rig or peg Texas rig. You want all the action that tail can offer for you, and I like to use it a little bit more as a search bait. Just playing the water column. riding banks, slow down around laydowns. It's a classic ribbon worm. Impossible not to catch a fish on a ribbon worm. So I had to have it in the arsenal, you know, just for me, just tried and true lure. Dual molds, grade A stuff, you know, I just couldn't go wrong. Interestingly enough, I poured the first couple worms, that golden shiner pattern, and it's like, I hadn't skipped the beat at all. Feel very comfortable with this mold, feel extremely comfortable. The lures that the mold produces, pretty much all on me in terms of color, in terms of application. Definitely would suggest dual molds, their essential series. They've got like 25, maybe 30 different molds going right now. And that's just the offerings on Tackle Warehouse. If you go directly to their site, you're gonna find a plethora of molds, different items. Definitely a must, definitely go to if you're a lure maker. But besides that, I also find that the ribbon tail, you know, you can exploit it deep, especially as a shaky head, you know, spiral down and whatnot, you can play the bottom. But if you use a little bit heavier of a weight, you'll definitely be able to fish a little bit deeper with that, especially with the profile. You see, it's a little bit bigger than completely forgot I had him right in the black pack. My bad. Anyway, here's the actual worm. Should have showed this from the beginning, right? Anyway, see what I mean? That classic motor oil pattern. I'm just in love with it. It does have that short, thin body, but the tail, that's really what's moving water. You got the ribs on the actual worm, but the tail, that's what's flapping, fluttering, swirling around. Man, these things are hard to beat. I fished deep today, humps, ditches, and I was pulling them out. You know, I was fishing a numbers deal, spotted bass. That's okay, I like numbers, I'm a finesse guy. Yeah, it's got it done for me. But that is gonna wrap things up today. Be sure to comment, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. You know, it's the heat of the summer. Got a couple more what's in the boxes, got a lot more what's in the boxes coming. I'm starting to like this what's in the box thing. This may be my main thing from now on. I'm working on another tournament video for you guys. Oh, hold on. We got a couple items in, so got the hatches for the kayak. Also, started getting the gear tracks for the kayak, which means that install is coming sooner rather than later in terms of the anchor wizards. Remember, we got one going in the back, we got one going in the front, so be sure to look out for that. Apart from that, that's what I got for you today. Please, 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 go get you a Fat Papa Walker. Man, explosive bites. Explosive. I'm talking about take some toilet paper with you out on your kayak, out on your boat. You might need it. Catches a different class of fish. Hey, that's what I got for you today. YouTube for now. I'm Miguel Malenciano. This is Evolution Angler Bass. We'll catch you next time.